Okay, we are on really on Daf Mem Amud Aleph, but we're going to start with just for briefly on Lamed Testament days. Before we get started, excuse me, my voice will cooperate. Quick story, our daily story. Make sure everyone's awake. Rabbi Ephraim Waxman, who is a Rosh Hashiva in America, I think in Muncie, he tells a story of his name is Rav Yaakov Meir Shechter, is a Shiva in Yerushalayim. He had a father named David Shechter back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever it was. He was davening at the Kotel. I guess it must have been in the 60s, maybe before the 40s, sometime when we had control of the Kotel. And he saw a Jew there pouring his heart out, just crying and crying away. So he goes over him to after, says, well, why are you crying? How could I help? You really can't help me. He says, well, try me, see if I can help you. Because I'm marrying off my daughter tomorrow, and I have a penny to my name. No problem. Come to my house. I'll help you out. This man was not a rich man. Not a stretch of the imagination. And how much do you need? He says, I don't know, whatever, 10,000 lira, whatever they used to use back then, I don't know, whatever the number was. He says, okay, here's the money. Thank you so much. Pay me back in the contract, the star, and whatever, in 2 months. And so that afternoon, this Rav David Shechter, he goes to daven by Zvil-based measures, Shlomka Zvil. The Zvil Rebbe's are buried in a very interesting place. It's a little cemetery, you've probably never seen this. There's a park right next to the Supreme Court in Yerushalayim. You drive to the Supreme Court, there's like a little bridge, walking bridge to the right by, there's a parking lot there, not a parking place to park, you go down the hill, adjacent to a park, right next to the Supreme Court is where some of the great tzaddikim of the past are buried. Very unusual place. And this is the Supreme Court. But there is where Shlomko Zil is buried. And he came in, Rav Shlomko Zil says, I see you've done something great today. Tells Rav David Shechter. Tell me what you did. I need to know what schus you have. I wouldn't say what he said to him, but he said to him, Rebbe, if you know I have a great schus, you must know what this great schus is. I would never say such a thing, but he said it. Okay, this is close enough to say such a thing. He says, "Okay, I don't know who said what, but he said, I paid for this wedding. So no, it's a tremendous thing you did today. Tremendous mitzvah you did today." So somebody came in a few minutes later, perhaps after mincha, wanting a brach from the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said, "No, go to him. Go to Rav David. He has the koach to give a brach today because of his great mitzvah." We kind of think, you have the great tzaddikim. The things we forget that our individual mitzvahs and learning Ma'asim Tovim can even be as great as great tzaddikim. And so we should bear that in mind every time we do something, how great our actions are. That's our daily chizuk. Okay, so now we're on Daf Lamed Tes Amud Aleph. Really, as I mentioned, we're Daf Mem Amud Aleph, but we're going to start with Lamed Tes because of the audio issue yesterday. Okay, we're going to continue with the discussion here about we had a discussion between how do we conceptualize and how do we look at the money involved here that the person claims. He makes a taina of one thing and there's something else. He admits to another thing. So we got the discussion here between Rav and Shmuel about one of the things was it have to be shava or a dafka. It has to be, look at the equivalence, the actual absolute value, that's a bit of a value, or you look at the coinage, the physical metal that we're looking at. So we're going to discuss that further today. So let's just look at the last line very briefly. We did this on Lamed Testament days. Amar lach Rav, kula masnisin shava v'litra zav shayni. That normally Rav says throughout the Mishnah we look at value. So he says you owe me. Says you're holding on to my 100 shekel. He says you're holding on to my 50 shekel. We look at, is there a difference of 2 shekel in between? Yes, 2 shekel. That's what we're concerned about, value. According to Rav, the problem is there in this case of the litrish zav. He says you owe me a a weight of gold, and he says, "No, you owe me a weight. I have to give you a weight of silver." And those are, and it's patur. He's not chayav to give a shua in that case, because he said a shua is only chayav if, according to Rav, it has to be a difference of two two kesef. Does that return better? But so why is it patur? It's a litra, let's say a liter, or a litra of zahav. I always think of a liter. It's a weight. A liter of gold is like let's say $50,000. It's a lot of money. So whatever it is, a liter of silver is a lot less. Like I don't know what it is. It's a hundredth or whatever it is. I'm not holding in precious metal. So there's obviously a big difference between. It's awfully denying a lot. So he says, why is it patur? Because in this, as Rashi explained, because when you say a litra of gold, you're talking about you're focusing not on the value, you're on the mishkal to weight. You look at the actual metal. You look at your weight. You're interested in the metal, not necessarily the value. Value also, but you're focusing on. So that's an exception. When you say, "Give me back my weight of gold," there's no weight of silver. And then you're specifying that that's an exception to the rule. We don't just look at the value; we look at the particular metal, and then you're looking at, and therefore they're talking about different things.
It's a fraud because he may have lent him borrowed a liter of gold,
right.
As opposed to, and someone could say, no,
right.
a liter of silver.
Right.
So a shvur would be in order unless
right.
takes him to court afterwards and takes a shvur.
Right. So we'll see. One of the things that comes out. Let's flip to Mem Amarav. One thing that comes out that the dayanim, their rules that we say, the dayanim, the judges have to have their head on their shoulder, as we saw from the case of the with the Rava, with the case of the guy who comes in and who broke the cane, the kanya the Rava. The judges have to know who they're dealing with sometimes. And I'll give you, since you mentioned this, the Rav of Zacharias has to tell a story about a famous dayan who, there's a case, and there's papers, they go through the papers. One of the papers, the dayan was a very astute fellow, Rav. He saw that it looked like something had been erased there. So he calls over to one of the guys, and he points out, he says, this piece of paper here, and he points to where the point was erased, we're putting on the side. Understand? Yes, I understand. You didn't want to throw the guy out and say, it has to be, know who you're dealing with and in what cases, how to deal with people. The judges often have to use their judgment in certain cases. We'll see. We're going to get to it. Discretion. Thank you. I'll get to tomorrow about the concept of a Shavuos Heses, rabbinically ordained from Rav Nachman, in his time at least, or maybe just from him, a rabbinically ordained oath. Sometimes the Rabbanim institute an oath, even when they're, according to the Torah, they're absolved from one. Okay. So let's continue. Daf Memoral. Teda. Should know, says the Gemara. Know what? As Rashi says, the Shar Masnisin Shelva Ketani. That Rav says, we're learning that the whole rest of the Mishnah can be going like Rav. It's always talking about value. How do we know that? The Katani Seifa, as you learned later on in the Mishnah, Dinar Zav li biyadcha. You're holding on to my dinar zahav, my golden dinar coin. And he answers back, Ein lecha biyadi ela dinar kesef. I'm only holding on for you, dinar kesef, a silver dinar, utrisis, these are other coins, upundion, other coin, upruta, a copper pruta, chayav. He is liable. Why? Shekol min matbea achas. They're all the same type of coin, in principle. So the Gemara analyzes this statement from the Mishnah.
All one the same value, or
item?
Well,
it's just different names, same item.
There are different types of coins. They're all different types. There are different types of coins, but they're different. Yeah, they're progressively less. Yeah. No, but we're looking at. If you're in America, we would say quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies. Okay? I don't know what you say in England other than pence. I don't know. Is there other coins? Okay. Half. What coins do you have in England besides the pence? Pence?
Pound.
No,
The
I
pound.
don't know. I mean, they lost something. And then we went into the matrix.
Oh, they lost. Okay.
So, yeah, we still have a penny.
Oh, they have a penny. Yeah.
And we still have a penny. Yeah. Then there's 5 pennies, 10 pennies.
Oh,
Actually,
right.
previously, there were 10 penny coins in Florida.
Oh, Florida. Okay. So there you
The
go.
old pennies.
Oh, pennies. This is in the 70s. Okay. Before the metric system.
Yeah, before we went next.
Oh. Sounds good. Okay. Okay. So anyway, so these are different types of coins. You have the dinar zahav and the different kinds of coins. So it says because they're all one min mate achasen, the one type of coin. So this requires some explanation, and we're going to derive it in the Gemara. The fourth line, I amrit bishlam shava. If you say we look at value, pure value, mishum hachichaya, because you're chayiv. He's claiming you owe me. He has to take an oath. Why? Because he says you owe me a dinar of silver, a gold rather. He says no, I have a dinar of silver, different coins. There's all value in terms of value. He's partially admitting to what he said. You look at pure value. He said you owe me 100. He says no, I owe you 10 and 12 and 15. It's partial admittance. It's enough. If you say we look specifically at the type of metal, the coinage, how are they comparable? He's talking apples. He's talking oranges. So you owe me a golden dinar. He's saying you owe you a silver one. Or these coins, a prutas copper. It's not the same min according to Shmuel. How could you be chayav? So Rabbi Elazar answers on behalf of Shmuel or for Shmuel. Bishatanu b'dinar matbeos. When he claims a dinar of matbeos, of coin, a dinar of coins. You owe me a dinar of coins. So he's leveling the playing field. He's saying coins. He translates into coins, and he answers back, yes, I owe a different type of coin. So then it makes it into the same mean, the same type. The kamash malan, the pruta b'chlal matbeisa. That pruta is also a type of coin, even though it's copper and small and not so valuable. So that's the way Shmuel is learning it. It's level the playing field. It's leveling the playing field. Everything's coin. He's claiming coins. He's answering coins. Even though they're different types, so it's the same mean. The Gemara continues. Deka nami. It also implies from the Mishnah. Dekatani shakol min mabei achas. That's what he said. That's the reasoning. Kol min mabei achas. Kol min mabei achas. They're all one type of coin. That's what he's saying. They're equivalent enough for Shmuel, even though they're different. But it's coins is coins. He says they're all one coin. The Rav. So what does Rav do with that last line? Shakol min mapei achase. That's not the point that they're one coin. The point is that they're all equivalent in value. The Rav, how does he learn that line? Shakol din mapei achas. They all have the same status of all the same status of a coin, the same coin, because they're all of. He's saying one value, and they're saying the other value, and they all have value. So they can translate into the same thing. The Gemara continues. For Rabbi Elazar, who is now giving an explanation for Shmuel, Lema midis sefer k'Shmuel, since he says the sefer like Shmuel, Mataretz Reisha Nami Shmuel Svirale, we're going to say that in everything, Rabbi Elazar holds like Shmuel, throughout the whole Mishnah, that he holds its dafka. We look at the coinage, and they have to be the same, or something similar enough. The Gemara answers low. Seifa dafka. The seifa, the case we just learned is dafka. We'd look at the coinage, or in this case, it's similar enough because he's stressing coins. They're all coins. The katani, as it learned in the Mishnah, shakol min mapei achas, that they're all the same, one type of coin. The reisha kirav or kashmuel. No, and Rav Elazar said he would learn the first part of the Mishnah, or like Rav, or like Shmuel. We don't know. That's how he would learn it in any case. So far, okay. Go to the next statement.
At the end of the day,
Yes.
whatever the situation is, if someone's denying, they have to take an oath. Whether they're denying coin, mythical, so everybody knows it's a specific coin, specific way. And you have the Krugerrand.
Right.
You know, it was a certain weight gold.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got the Teresa Bayer, right, which was a silver coin, couldn't the English crown.
Okay.
Right? You know, there were no coins that people, merchants could trust.
Okay.
Okay, but then, all right, so whether you're talking about, you know, other coins which are not specific, they could vary.
Right.
And you still, if you're denying, if you're
Yeah, the
denying
coin.
the holding, you still would take it.
It's specific, it's a coin. Whether it's a gold coin or a peruta, it's specific, it's a coin,
Yeah,
irrespective of the value.
yeah, so you still have to, that's what I'm trying to get at, I mean, making this distinction.
And at this point, it seems to be like Rob would say, as long as there you have value, this says value and this says value, that's enough for enough. As long as there's two kesef in between.
Saying is that,
Like for like,
if there's a big enough difference, then we'll consider his denial worthy of making a, if it's less than that,
Right.
there's no shubur.
Right. According to Rob, it's certainly there. According to Shmuel, there has to be they have to be talking the same language, the denial and the refutation to some extent. To some extent. And with coins, that's at this point at least, it seems that coins are coins. They talk to each other. It's enough that you're talking coins, I'm talking coins. There's a denial. That's fine.
what's the difference between the collective noun of coin as opposed to the collective noun of metal, i.e. gold and silver? It's still metal.
That's an
As
interesting
opposed
question.
to a coin, you're still talking metal.
Um,
Gold and silver, they're both metal.
right. That's a good question. That's a good question. We seem to look at coins as coins, and metals.
A gold coin to silver coin, a liter of gold to a liter of silver. The comparison is the same.
Right. Right.
You're too far over now. You're even more meko than Shmuel.
I don't know what Paskin is. We'll get to that in a
I'm
moment.
saying, if
That-
you're just making.
Oh, right. We
too
did
general,
learn
you're-
that in Tosfos, didn't we?
Therefore, it's not okay. Take a Shmuel. But Shmuel doesn't go that far.
We're going to see soon that the question about the value of shvur is very limited to modem mixos. We'll say when you partially admit. Once he brings in one aid, there's different types of shvuos. Anyway, that one is a modem mixos where he partially admits. Then we have these psukim that say it has to work two, and there has to start making drashas about that. We're going to see momentarily, maybe a little bit, in a few moments. We're going to see that when you have one aid. When you say, you owe me money, and he says, I don't, and he says, here's my witness, I see you do. So then, all you need is a pruta. This needs to be a case where the minimum they're arguing about is a pruta of value. Then you can make note. We'll see. It's a special limud by Modem Mixer. Okay, so let's continue. We are about a third way down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Is that far? No. Missed it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 lines down. I think it's the same in this version too. 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah. Oh, so these Gemaras line up today. Okay, very good. Okay. First line of the line is Viresha. With the Tashma, the Akasha from a Brisa. Dinar Zahav Zahuv Libi Yadcha. You're holding on to a minted gold coin, as Rashi says. Pirish Dinar Zahav Shahainu Tavua. It's minted. I thought all coins were minted, but I guess not. Dinar Zahav Zahav Libi Yadcha. Because you're holding on to you have my minted gold coin. He says, Ein li biyadi ala dinar kasef. I'm only holding on to a silver coin. Chayev. So why is that? Taima, Damar le zarazov, Hastam Shava Kamarle. What does that mean? He's saying, you're holding on to my minted gold coin, and he answers back, no, I'm holding on to your silver coin. So he's chayev in that. So the Gemara derives something from that. He says, Taima, the reason he says here specifically, he says minted coin, minted gold coin, as opposed to regular one. So he's saying the reason why we line up coin to coin, like coin to coin, is because it's minted, implying that if he didn't say that, it would only be it would only be shava. We're only worried about, we're only interested in not the coinage, one to one, but the value. That's what it sort of implies. The fact that he's highlighted this point, it seems like here that you want to focus on the coinage, so you can make coin to coins. If not, otherwise, you'd say shava would have to be, you look at it from a shava point of view, from a value point of view, like Rav said. So Amar Ravashi, Hachikamer, no, don't look at it like that. Kol Omer Dinar Zahav, anyone who says, you owe me you're holding on to my golden coin, Omer Dinar Zahav Zahav, as if he says minted coin. But when he says just says Zahav, it doesn't mean, well, here he wants to point out the coin. It means anytime you say Dinar Zahav, it means like a minted coin. It means like you're focusing on the coins. And then according to Shmuel also, you would you'd be chayav because you're pointing out the coins, even just like that. Anytime you say it, not mean that regular cases we mean shava. It just means that when you say zahav coin, it means coin. You're focusing on the coin. It's the same mean, and it's like a zahav zahuv, a minted coin. Otherwise, it's not.
Try and explain, taking another situation, someone says, "Grab my silver candle."
Okay.
And I'm not silver candle. But no, I've got cutlings. Silver cutlings.
Okay.
You know, they're chalk and cheese. And this is what we're trying to work out here on a finer situation. That one says a gold minted coin, and the other one says you've got a silver stamp coin. That, you know, these two guys are talking about three different things. Therefore, there's no claim
Right.
to entertain. This is what we're trying to get at.
It's I don't know if we're taking it that far. It's difficult to say. There's steps further. I'll say the Ritva now. Maybe it'll be helpful in helping us understand it. He asked the question. Today I believe is the Rambam zero site. Is that right? Does anyone correct me? Today's the Rambam zero site. Is that right? Am I wrong? No, I think it's Chaf. So it's nothing. Oh, didn't see the signs. There'll be signs up, I guess.
Like, if it's like for like, then value comes into fruition.
According to this is going to get complicated. It's not. We keep on trying to change the parameters, giving cases. It's not clear to me exactly when we say lining up Rav Shmuel. Let me say the Ritva and the Rambam, and maybe have a little bit more clarity. If I ask the question, what if a person claims he's a taina of 100 loan? I lent you 100 shekel. Is shekel please here? And the person says no. I'm holding your deposit of 50 shekel. So they're claiming money. If it'll be money, he says, you lent me 100. He says, no, you lent me 50. I'm holding on to your 50. That's a classic case. Modem mixes. Everyone would agree. We're talking the same thing. It's value. Everyone agrees. 50. Give him 50 and swear. But here it's different. One's claiming 100. I lent you. You have to pay me back. The other says, bring back my picado. My deposit. The difference between a deposit and loan, a deposit is somebody gives you something, you can't touch it. But with a loan, is milvalot son. You can really use that one. You just have to give back whatever, the same amount. So it's not, are they talking, is that the equivalent, the same thing in the case we're talking about or not? My point is we're trying to, every time we put the case a little bit further, we're talking about coins, silver, gold, they're really coins. We're talking about metals. What about metals? They're really kind of like coins. We're talking about objects. Well, objects are different, but they're also precious metals. They're the same metals, but they're different types of metal. These are very complicated cases. I didn't see the Rambam inside that much in this area, so I didn't learn it through. But the Rambam in this halacha, in this Masechta, it touches on. It's very complicated. There's Shavuos, and there's Picadon, and there's Halvad, loans, and there's a lot of different things here. Anyway, the point is that the Ritva says they are the same. That is equivalent. That's like modem mixus. That is like, he says, you owe me 100 of a loan. He says, no, I'm holding on to 50 of your deposit. That's he has to take a Shavuos. It's enough, close enough of enough. The Rambam, I believe, is Yerotzai today. The Rambam's Yerotzai today. So he says it's the same thing. Yes, the same thing. The Ravid doesn't agree. He says those are not mimin hataina. It's not the same time. He's tining a loan, and he's tining a pikadon. Not the same thing. A loan is lotza, something you get to be used. Pikadon is to be held on to. Not the same thing. That's right. So that's an interesting discussion. So you're all asking excellent questions. I wish I was a Dayan and knew all the answers, but we have to learn further. We'll learn further. We'll keep going. And we'll learn there's more to this as we go on, a little bit more. It's complicated. It's complicated. Okay, so we're up to first line. The first word on the line is tani. The little aleph with the parentheses next to it. Tani. So we're going to bring a raya not to this discussion of shava, value, metal, coin. We're bringing right to what the Rav and Shmuel's original discussion. Rav said that the distinction between the kfira, the denial, has to be 2 kesef. So he's claiming, let's say, a minimum of 2 kesef and 1 pruta. He admits to 1 pruta. The chasm, whatever you say, the bridge, the distance between the two has to be 2 kesef. So we're going to bring a raya to that. Rabbi Chia is going to bring a raya. Tani Rabbi Chia, Brisa, learns in a Brisa. L'siyu al Rav, he brings as a proof to Rav. And this the Brisa says the following: Sela li biyadcha, you're holding on to my sela. Ein li biyadchi ela sela chaser beis kesef. No, I only have a sela minus 2 kesef. His denial is, he's like saying, you owe me 1,000. He says, no, I owe you 800. Whatever. The difference between the two is claim, and what he admits is 2 kesef. In the Brisa says chayev. So the difference between this is 2. Chaser ma, pater. But if the difference between 2 is less, a ma, then you're pater. That seems to be a riot to what Rav said. That not just the claim is of 2 kesef, but the actual distance, the distinction between what the claim is, what the actual kvira, the denial. He says, you owe me X, I owe you X minus 2. That sounds like Rav. But the denial has to be itself 2 kesef. Okay. I'm going to drink. Okay, where are we? Middle of a good cold. And on Daf Aleph. Okay. I'm Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak. Maybe not Yitzchak, but let's leave it at that. Okay, interesting cases now. We've made reference to about 10 times so far, or maybe 3. Right in the middle, the first word on the line is ma'a. Or maybe it's a different girsa. Oh, they changed it. I can't do that anymore. I think the Gemara shifts, I think. Okay.
You missed a bit.
I missed a bit. What did I skip? Tani Rabbi Chia, the seal of the Rav Sela, oh, there's 2 Amar Rav Nachman. There's 2 Amar Rav Nachmans.
On the first one.
There's an earlier one, right? It's Amar Rav Nachman.
I'm right on Bar
Okay. It is. Oh, so you have the Oz V'Hadar, so I can tell you exactly where it is. You see where there's the little aleph on the line, the little aleph in the parentheses, at the B'Tar line? So count down 2 more lines. There's a dot there. Second one is a dot, a period, so to speak, a diamond. And it says Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak. There's an aleph with a bracket. Amar Shmuel, exactly. There we are. Good. No, I made this several times when I was preparing also, because it's the same thing. It's Amar Rav Nachman. It's even had a little letter next to it. It's also the dot. It looks exactly the same. So Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak. Yitzchak. Whatever. Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak. Let's leave it at that. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak says, Amar Shmuel. He says in the name of Shmuel. Lo Shanu. We only learn this rule. Lo Shanu, as Rashi says, the Be'inan Taina Shtei Kesef. El b'shvua bar b'tanas milva. Rashi says, Nachum Bar Yitzchak says in the name of Shmuel, we only learn this rule that the claim has to be of 2 kesef, that requirement, those various requirements. Ella b'tanas milva avodos lava. When you have a case of somebody who's claiming, you owe me, you borrowed from me, and he says, no, I borrowed from you, but it's only less than that. He says, yeah, I borrowed 100. He says, I borrowed 98. With denial of 2 or whatever. That's more like Rav, but aval tanas milva v'adas eid echad. But when you have a case where he says, you borrowed from me, and here's my witness, one witness to say that you borrowed, afilo tana el pruta. Even if the case is only about a pruta, the Nile is only a pruta, only talking about a pruta here, chayav, and he is liable. My timer, what's the reason? Ichsiv lo yokum eid echad b'ish lechol avim lechol chat. The pasuk says in Devarim, lo yokum, one you should not establish one witness for any sin and any wrongdoing. What do you derive from that? What do you derive from that? That one witness is not good enough for most things. You can't. One witness cannot make a person liable. You can't get makos, for example, as one witness. What does that mean? It said lechol avon lechol chatas hu de'ino kam. You can't establish one witness for that the person sinned, that the person gets makos, etc. Aval, when does one witness work? Aval kam hu l'shvua. But one witness does work for a shvua, right? So that's how we know that one witness. Well, we made various derivations about where we know that from, but here it's learning out this way. In that pasuk, we learn that one witness can make you take a shvua. We had different limudim before about that, but let's leave it at that. But Tanya, we learned in a brisa. Doesn't give us the source, but it's a brisa. Kol makom sheshnayim mechayven so mama. Any case when you have 2 witnesses and they would be able to make you pay money. Ein echad mechayev shvua. One witness can make you take an oath. So first thing we said 2 things here. One is that one witness does not have the power to make a person pay money. One witness does not have the power to make a person get punished, makos, etc. The death penalty, it has to be 2 witnesses. Al pi shnayim u'shlosha edim yakum davar. The second half of the pasuk we just quoted. The pasuk said, I'll read the whole pasuk. Lo yokum eid echad bish l'chol avon l'chol chatas b'chol eit asher yechta. One witness cannot make a person get punished. Al pi shnayim edim u'shlosha edim yakum davar. Only with 2 or 3. Derive why 2 or 3, but excuse me. It has to be 2 witnesses. What does one witness do? It can't make you get courage. It doesn't make you get makos. It can't make you get death penalty. It can't make you pay money. What does it do? It makes you swear. Okay, so what do we know what it does? The Gemara says, just learn the brisa. So anytime 2 can make you pay money, 1 can make you take a shua. So if you have 2 people come and say, we saw him borrow money, it makes him pay the loan up. If one witness says, we saw the loan, it makes him take a shua. The one witness can't make you pay, but it'll make you take a shua. And just like 2 witnesses can make you pay money, back the loan you claim against, and he says you owe, one witness can make you take a shua. So that's what we say. And when do we say, on what case the 2 witnesses make you pay? At a minimum of pruta, right? So therefore, same thing by shua. You take a shua by a minimum of pruta. A little bit of a long derivation, but a complex one, but a long one. So that's how we know. That's why it's different. So as opposed to, we said by modem mixas, you deny. He says you owe me 100. Yeah, I lent you 100. He says no, you only lent me 50. Kalim come in and they make it swear, but there's rules. That's opasa. Kesef or kalim. We learn it has to be a minimum of two kesef. Here we have a different rule. This is by Adim, by an aid who saw what you did. When you have an aid who saw what you did, so then that also requires a shua, as we said. But it's a different set of rules. The same rules. Shua equals, for 1 witness equals money for 2 witnesses. Even just a pruta will do the trick. Therefore, even just a case is just about a pruta. I lent you, 10 agora coin. No, you didn't. I have a witness who came and he charges 20 agora an hour, so it's 10 agora. That would be chayiv. You'd have to take a shvur for that. A waste of good financial resources. But in today's day and age, if two witnesses did
less
that,
than two stale, two males. Because just for example, if you borrowed me 2 shekels,
Yeah.
right? And I say to you, no, it was only 1, right? Would that go to court or not?
but if it's that would not be liable to an oath.
That would not. So I just give you the 1.
You would just give me what you admitted. Yeah, correct.
Right.
Right. But if it's a different case where he said, if
Yeah,
you have
but
one
it's
witness
different.
if you have one witness on your side, then anything of a proof above would have to. Yeah.
Like mentioned,
Right. 2 Adam is the prototype. If you owe 2 Adam,
there's no sheet.
right. But we're giving you an example. 2 Adam, what the 2 Adam have the power to do with with 2 Adam work for Mammon to make you pay up, 1 witness has the power to make you take a shua. And when does 2 Adam work? By a minimum of pruta. So 1 aid makes you swear by a minimum of pruta. That's what we're trying to derive. Get to the pruta minimum.
Across the board,
Yeah. If you're not talking to pruta, don't come to court.
no matter what, you
Right.
have one witness or other.
Right. Yeah. Well, if you have 2 witnesses, yeah, they wouldn't. I know. Right. They're very easygoing, Besdin, but for a pruta, come on. Okay. Okay, so we continue. V'amar Rav Nachman. We just highlight it. V'chein Amar Rav Nachman. No, V'amar Rav Nachman. There's 3 Rav Nachman there. That's where it gets confusing, as we noted, by the little gimel. It's a Dalit right here. Very challenging working off 2 different Gemaras. Yeah. Okay. V'amar Rav Nachman. Where's it? Amar Rav Nachman. V'amar Rav Nachman. Okay, if you have the Oz V'Hadar at least, or even the non-Oz V'Hadar, it's about 2/3 way down. The first word in the line is Mechayvo. The third word in is a little Gimel, in parentheses, or a little Dalid, depending on which Gemara you have. In the Oz V'Hadar, in the article list, they have the Oz V'Hadar version, so it would be Gimel. It says, V'amar Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel. We had this case before. Tano is from our Mishnah. Tano chitin musarin, hodula ba'achmehen chayev. I believe it's from our Mishnah, right? Yeah, I think it is. Okay. Tano chitin musarin, a person, chitin musarin, maybe it's not our Mishnah, it's a brisa. Tano chitin musarin, person claims he owes him wheat and barley, v'hodula ba'achmehen, and he admits, this wasn't the Mishnah, and he admits to one of them, to one of the grains, chayav, he's chayav. That's considered a modem mixas. That's considered a partial admit, even though he's talking about not exactly the same thing. It's not like he says, you owe me wheat and barley. He says, no, I only owe you barley. That's enough of a partial admittance, a modem mixas, to make him chayav take a shua. Note that he about the other half, and then get off the hook for that half. So Amar Yitzchak Yasher. If Yitzchak said to that, what Rav Nachman said in the name of Shmuel, says, yeah, sure, that's correct. I agree. The Chain Amar Rav Yochanan. So said Rav Yochanan. Okay. Now we're going to talk about that. We're going to discuss that Rav Yochanan comes in more play into the next moment, but it also is important here. What is it implied by Rav Yochanan? What is he pointing out that Rav Yochanan said it? What is that adding to the picture? So said Rav Yochanan. So one level he's just telling us, here's another Amora of great status, an early Amora, who said this. But on the other hand, whoever said Rav Yochanan said it, implies that his bar plukta, the person who always argues on him, his brother-in-law, Rish Lakish, is arguing on him. And the Gemara says, Michlal de plika de Rav Lakish. Now, it implies that Rav Lakish is arguing on him. It implies that Rav Lakish is arguing on him. Does I read that? It implies that his Rav Lakish argues and says, no, when you say wheat and barley and you admit to one, you wouldn't be chayav for no. But then we say, no, that's not the case. Now, really, just because Rav Yochanan says it, doesn't necessarily mean that Rish Lakish is arguing on it. But he's just saying that you claim wheat and barley, and you admit to one, that's partial admittance, and you have to take a shua on the other half. You have to take a shua, take an oath. No, Rish Lakish does not argue on it. Why? And I'll explain why. Two ways we say this. Interesting thing here. Igid Amri, Misha Hava Shahile, Veshasikle. Rish Lakish is quiet. Why? Let's look at this. Rashi in the first wide line. Rish Lakish is attend the Gadol Ador, his brother-in-law, his Chavrusa, Rav Yochanan's shir. This was his way. Kishai Rav Yochanan Omer, Davar bebeis medrash, when he used to say something in the base medrash, his shir, Hayeshoa Hashiv, Ach Digmar Rav Yochanan Kol Tzarcha. He would wait till Rav Yochanan says his whole thing, and only in the end he would ask his question. V'chol tzarach v'chol tam dvarav. He said his whole piece and all the reasoning behind it. V'achar kach hayechol ichala. And only afterwards would he start to argue with him. No, it's not like this, not like that, this, not like that. V'tochach yotzer of Yitzchak. And Yitzchak would go out, Nibeis Medrash, v'lo shamei im nechlach alav. You wouldn't hear if he argued on it. In other words, just because Rav Yochanan said something doesn't necessarily mean Rish Lakish argues on it. When Rav Yitzchak said, who also attended Rav Yochanan Shir, said he heard Rav Yochanan say something, and he said, Rav Yochanan said like this, doesn't necessarily mean that Rish Lakish argued on it. He could have walked out from the Beis Medrash before he heard Rish Lakish's speech, because Rish Lakish waited for the whole Shir, the whole explanation. Only then did Rish Lakish start arguing with Rav Yochanan. Perhaps before that, the argument started, Rav Yitzchak walked out. He's not aware. Maybe there is an argument, what there is an argument. Because just because he says that Rav Yochanan said X doesn't mean that Rish Lakish maybe yes, maybe not. We don't know necessarily from Rav Yitzchak that Rish Lakish argued. Another way to say this, Ika da'armi mishas lahaveshasile, that during the year, Rav Yochanan was getting a drink of water. As Rashi says, Rish Lakish Maya b'bei midrasha, he was drinking. Kiyam Rav Yochanan lahamilsa. While Rav Yochanan was saying what he said, he was drinking. So he was drinking, and he didn't. And then Rav Yochanan finished. He was still drinking, and Rav Yitzchak walked out. And Rish Lakish potentially argued with him, but Rav Yitzchak didn't know because he had walked out. So either he was drinking, either he was waiting. We don't necessarily know that Rish Lakish would argue on Rav Yochanan. So just because he said, Rav Yitzchak said, Rav Yochanan agrees with that statement of Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel, that if you claim wheat and barley and you admit to one of those two grains, that's considered a partial admittance, and you're chayav to Yeshua. We don't know that Rish Lakish argues on it or not. Okay. Okay. Yes. You know about yeah.
That gives you plenty of chance to pick up blips like this. Yeah, why is this blip mentioned? Because up until now, this opinion and that opinion.
It's of no consequence, really, is it?
Yeah, I mean,
it's of no consequence.
The Gemara gives you opinions. Well, how we Paskin is later. Sometimes the Gemara tells us we follow this, follow that.
Right.
Sometimes it's left it open, and then you don't get to much later. But
right.
What's
yes, it's a good question. Good question. I like the question. I think sometimes the Gemara is teaching us the proper way to act. According to the verse version, that he waited quietly, even though he would ask, and every time when they learned the Chavrus, Rav Yochanan Rish Lakish would throw tons of questions at him. I forgot the exact number, but he was telling him when he gave shir in public, he waited out of respect to say his whole piece and gave his whole explanation. Only then, when he was done, he started arguing with him out of respect. That's one thing we learned. The second thing we learned is that he was drinking in the Beis Medrash, and maybe you could drink while you're learning. Oh, he was drinking because he had Talmud Chacham. Certainly, he was allowed. Certainly, people who learn the Beis Medrash. Certainly, water is probably okay. I think this maybe brought down as a halacha even as a raya. So there's something we learn out of this incident. This incident. It was a value. It's a good question. Yeah. Okay.
Rish Lakish was an absolute Talmud Chacham on this particular subject.
He was a great man. He was a former highwayman turned Talmud Chacham.
When we learn this myself,
yeah.
As far as I understand, he was really at that peak, but he just went off the hill.
Yeah, I think everyone back then was at it.
A Derek.
I left the way of crying and came back.
It's an indication that Rish Lakish, Rabbi Yochanan's colleague and Talmudic advisory.
Advisory.
Adversary.
Just look,
Is it adversary?
Adversary.
When someone asks a question, he's
Yeah,
asking the question, are you, he's asking a question, but in a certain way, he's also giving advice. Yeah,
Also giving advice.
he's also giving advice, because
Yeah.
by him asking the question,
Adversary.
it
He said
presents another, opens up another, screen, so to speak.
Yeah, another tab.
On the
Yeah.
end, yeah, and now, as if to say, Rabbi, don't you need to also talk about this issue?
Right.
Okay, without saying that, just by asking the question, he becomes in a sense an advisor. That's all I'm just saying, that comment,
Right.
that comment in the art scroll, is a very accurate comment.
Yeah.
I just didn't think of it now. He
Yeah.
was an advisor, even though he didn't.
Yeah.
Just by asking questions.
Okay. All right. Did I get? Oh, we didn't do that yet. Okay, we're not up to the Tosos yet. Sorry, I think I missed the Tosos I wanted to cover. No, I think we did. Okay. I think we didn't do it yet. Okay. Le Messiah. It's Le Messiah. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines from the bottom. Le Messiah. Let's say the following. This is from our Mishnah. This one is actually from our Mishnah this time. To what Rav Nachman said in Amar Shmuel. Shmuel said, a person claims wheat and barley and admits to one of the grains, that's considered like modus mixus and partial admittance, and it would have to take an oath. Take a shul. Lay Messiah lay the following. Let's say the following is proof to Shmuel. Tano chitin v'hodala b'saron potter. Person claims, you give me back my wheat. He says, no, I'm holding on to your or let me, whatever the case may be. Barley, potter. They're not the same thing. They're talking not from the Minataina, not talking about the same thing. Rabbi Gamliel mechayev. Rabbi Gamliel is mechayev because Rabbi Gamliel holds doesn't have to be the same thing. As long as there's some sort of admittance, that's good enough. So let's analyze the statement, at least the first part. Taima the tanu chitin v'hodla b'sarin. The reason he gets off the hook from a shua because he was claiming wheat and he admitted to barley, which are not the same mit. Ha chitin usarim. If in fact he would claim both wheat and barley, and he would admit to one of them, chayav. That would imply that he's chayav. That's the implication. You take one, you deny one, it doesn't work. But if you claim two and admit one, that implies like Shmuel. That seems to be a proof to Shmuel. It seems to be a proof to Shmuel. I didn't do the Tosfos. I'll have to get back to Tosfos after. Okay, I missed the Tosfos. It's a brief one. Okay, so the Gemara says no, it's not a proof. Lo, hu adin dafilu chitin v'sa'aron nami pater. No, that's not the implication. Really, even if we can't necessarily bring a proof from the Mishnah, because maybe the Mishnah would tell you, we learn from the Mishnah rather, dafilu chitin v'sa'aron nami pater. If a person claims you owe me barley and wheat, and he says no, I'm only holding on to or borrowed whatever. One grain, you be pater. Why? The haydik mitzchi, mechitin. Sorry, that which they're arguing out is a case of just he claims wheat and denies and says no, it's just I just owe you barley. Teach you what the kocha, the strength, the chiddush of Rabbi Gamliel. That Rabbi Gamliel is saying even if one person says you owe me wheat, does not owe you barley, even though they're talking different languages, different grains, that's still enough of an admittance. He admits he owes something to make him chayav take a shua, according to Rabbi Gamliel. That's ad kedei kach. Even in that case. Okay. Now just a quick go back for a second to Tosfos, not a big Tosfos. We said that, how do we know? We said the kol makom sheshnayim mechayev moso, mamon achas mechayev, echad mechayev shua. Anytime that two witnesses would make him pay money, like they say, you did borrow, you have to pay the money. Ach mechayev shua. One makes take a shua. So Tosfos says that it's the 1, 2, 3, fourth to last house. So it's a chol. So it says lav dafka. Not every time that two witnesses would make him pay money, he would have to take a shua. Ha'ika kfira shibud karkos, because we learn if a person says, if he has two witnesses that say he owes the land, then he would know the land. But if he has one witness who says he owes the land, you wouldn't make him take an oath. Because remember, we don't, by a denial by land, we don't make a person take an oath. It has to be lopped on to something else. But that's the small point, which we'll get to importantly tomorrow. We'll discuss that more in detail tomorrow. That's important for tomorrow. Okay, let's touch the last point here on the Amud. Tashma, bring a raya. Again, we're trying to bring a raya, and this time again from our Mishnah, to what Shmuel said, Nachman Shmuel, that if a person claims chitim he claims he owes him or has his wheat and barley, and he partially admits it to one of the grains, you have to take a shvuah. We bring a raya from a case we had in the Mishnah. Tanu kelim v'karkos. He says, you're holding on to my, you owe me kelim, vessels and land. Hodu b'kelim, he admits the kelim. V'kafar b'karkos, he denies that he owes him land, or has his land. V'karkav v'kafar b'kelim. He says, he admits to the land, but he denies the vessels, the kelim, potter. He's potter, as we said, as the first Rashi in the next blot helps us out. Let's read the next part. Just make it go smoother, just one line or so. Sorry, technologically. Okay, sorry. Hodu b'mixas karkos potter. If he admits, says to partially admits the karkos. No, I don't owe you two plots, I owe you one plot. His potter doesn't have to take an oath. Mixas kelim, he says, no, I don't owe you two vessels, only one less vessel, chayav. He's chayav. So, as Rashi explains, why is he off the hook from swearing most of these cases? She'ein nishbon al karkos. You don't swear about when it comes to karkos that you have that you deny when it comes to land. However, the next Rashi, when he admits to saying that he partially admits when it comes to vessels, then chayav shvua afal karkos. He takes an oath even about the land. Aydei gilgul shvua, to mix that kelim. Because then we're talking about gilgul shvua. If you have to take an oath because of the partial admittance to the vessels, kelim, so then we can roll it over and make it take an oath regarding the land. Let's quickly, because in the middle of the statement, we'll get back to it tomorrow. Time of the kelim karkos. The reason he doesn't take an oath because the claim is about vessels and land. Karkos la pashuahi. When it comes to land, you deny land, you don't take a oath. Hakelim b'kelim, if he's saying he was claiming two types of vessels, kelim and kelim, two different types. Duma the kelim karkos chayafu, chayav. Then he'd be chayav, because that's a proof. If he'd say two vessels, then he'd be chayav to take an oath, even though they're different. For example, the derivation, he said, you owe me tables and chairs. He says, no, I only owe you chairs. You would have to take an oath. That's the implication of this Mishnah. The only reason it's off the hook from an oath is because it involves land, karka. But if it be two types of vessels, that he says, you owe me my silver goblet and my gold goblet, or my tables and chairs. He says, no, I only owe you one of them. You have to take an oath. That sounds like what Shmuel said. Wheat and barley, amidst the one, you have to take an oath. Seems to be a proof. So we'll go over it again. It's a little bit detailed. We'll go over it again tomorrow. It's Hashem. And we'll continue.
Barley and wheat.
It is different than barley and wheat. But land